between the slideshow and some other materials that you can use, and we're going to identify for you where you can obtain these materials, or of course we would be willing to email those to you as you need. Okay. Okay, so the introduction of myself. Melissa Mason is also online, and I'll let her introduce herself. She's with Texas Council for Family Violence.
Hi there, this is Melissa, and again, I'm a policy analyst here at the Texas Council on Family Violence.
Okay, and then Lindsay Marsh with Texas Homeless Network. She's with our HMIS team. Are you online, and you can say hi, Lindsay? Because she may be having some technical difficulties, but I know that she will be joining us. First of all, we want to talk about confidentiality. Right? Number one, we do not want you to be using HMIS to enter client level data. I mean, that's, we know that's prohibited, and we would definitely not encourage that. So if you're worried about that, let's just get that out of the way. What we are going to talk about are these alternative reports, and then including the information about your shelter or your supportive housing in HMIS for the purposes of reporting housing inventory data to HUD every year. And we're not going to ask for any information on any specific clients. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail in a second. First of all, with the confidentiality, it's the VAWA rules state that victims of domestic violence cannot be entered in to HMIS or any database that is shared, the HMIS that's shared over, that's shared online. But there have been a few new regulations that have come out, and I'm going to let Melissa go over those. And Melissa, I will pull an excerpt of that. This is from a summary of the NNEDV's HMIS final regulations. So, Melissa, do you mind explaining this?
Sure, Eric. I think you've pretty well captured the confidentiality issues that come up for family violence programs. We're all pretty familiar with what began as an opt-out in HMIS regarding client-level data, and then became a prohibition in this HUD regulation. The most recent HUD regulation came out in March 2010, and y'all are probably pretty familiar with that pretty straightforward prohibition against entering client-level data into HMIS and using an alternate form of reporting only aggregate data to your funder. Along within this regulation is here, as you see on the screen, mindful of the exemption of your physical address. You are expected to enter an agency profile into HMIS with the following information listed out here. And again, it's mindful of that confidentiality of your street address not being included in this profile.
Okay, thank you. I want to let everyone know that we now have Lindsay Marsh with us. She was not able to join us from her computer, so she's here with me now. And Lindsay will be the person that you'll be talking to primarily with our coordination with your programs. And I'm sorry, Melissa, were you done?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and I'll be on the rest of the call here if anyone has any questions that I can answer or get back to them.
And just so everyone knows, we try to work with Melissa and the Texas Council for Family Violence to make sure that we're doing things correctly and that we can work with you efficiently, because we know there's a lot of worries out there about HMIS and privacy issues.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to do a quick overview of alternative monthly report, as you know, as you probably have found out recently from TDHCA, the Emergency Solutions Grant requires you to collect data, even if you are a domestic violence provider. So we have this really simple spreadsheet that you can use to collect data and then save and send in to us. And the spreadsheet collects data for individual clients on one side of the spreadsheet, and then it aggregates the data on the other side. So you would send in the aggregated data. And we'll quickly go through that with an example application. I will say that we have looked at some of the other programs such as Alice. I don't know if a lot of people use that. But if these programs are able to collect the data that's needed, in my opinion, they could be used as the alternative database. So, you know, I think that's really kind of up to your agency and up to your continuum, especially those of you who are in different continuums, the Fort Bend and Houston. Actually, I think you guys are one continuum. So you'll probably have to decide how to handle this. Okay? And then we'll go over the how we're going to put the information in HMIS. Okay, I'm going to get the spreadsheet over here. Okay. And just so you know, I can't keep them both documents up right now, but I'm going to be working off of this sample application. It's just a very simple application, but you're not going to be able to see it. I can send this to you later if you want. This is very simple, everyone. Okay. So if you're able to get the name, oftentimes the name you will not want to give it, or they will not want to give it. So you can use something like your ITS number, if you have that, or some type of code so that you can identify this person, you know, in the coming months. This person gave their name, E. James, and program entry date. Now, what you can do for a lot of these is you can click on the top just to see what it is. These are all pretty self-explanatory data elements, but some of these will provide a little bit of explanation and will serve as a code sheet for you, or that'll give you the codes that you'll need to put in. And then some of them provide instructions on how to enter the data. So it's a good idea to go through this first of all before you start using this to collect data, to get a feel for how the data will be entered, and make sure the people who are using this will do that. Program enter date, you enter program exit date when it's the exit. We don't have that on here. Their personal identification number was given as 2433. Household identification 331. Okay, Social Security number. You may not get this, and in this case, this person only gave 999, which the case manager is saying is a partial Social Security number. So you get the Social Security number, and then you identify if it's full, partial, don't know or don't have, or refused. So you need to choose one of those for each person. They're saying that's partial. Date of birth is given as 12/14/58, and that will all this information will be pulled over into this aggregate spreadsheet, which can be saved and sent in as part of your reporting requirements. Same with date of birth. You go ahead and choose accuracy of that. This is full date of birth reported. So just pick it from the drop-down menu. Some have drop-down menus. others, such as race, you will see use codes. And the reason it has that is because you can use more than one race. This person's listed as African American and white, so you're going to follow the instructions and list 3, 5. Ethnicity, it is just a drop-down menu, I believe. Yes, it is. This person said non-Hispanic, non-Latino. And then, simple demographic questions. Female. No to veteran status. Disabling condition. Yes. And then prior living situation. And this person is living with family or friends. On this one, make sure that your case managers or whoever's entering this data realize that this list is pretty long. And I would suggest going through here and making sure that they look at it here on the right-hand side of the screen, or you can print it off. You can print off that list, or we can give you all the codes in a Word document that you can print out so they can have at their desk, just to make this a little easier. And you ask their prior length of stay. This person's prior length of stay was more than 3 months, but less than a year. Last known zip code 78744, and then you give the accuracy of that zip code. And then finally, you list their housing status. This person was listed as housed at risk or at risk of losing housing. And that's basically it. You can write notes, of course, in here, whether you choose to use this spreadsheet for your notes, case management notes. That's up to you. That's funny. Rita Gonzalez-Garza is calling me right now. I have a few questions to ask of her about this too, but as it stands now, this report can be used for the ESG project. It can be used on a monthly basis, and what you'll do is fill in all the data for all of your clients that month. Go to the second tab. Just make sure the data is correct, and then once you know it is, then save it as. Actually, I think we have a slide about this. Then you want to save it as a PDF, and then you can send that information into THM. And at this point, we will be collecting that information in your folder, in your agency folder, and providing that to TDHCA if they ask for it. That's one of the questions I have for Rita Gonzalez-Garza. I don't know what they want us to do with that information at this point. As soon as I do know, I will let you know. But go ahead and save it as a PDF if you need help with this. Just go save as PDF. And I would say you could just use this title and just say December or whatever, just for each one of yours. Actually, and you should also list your agency name. So if it's Friendship of Women, do something like that. And go ahead and save it as a PDF. That way, that's all that is saved and that's all that is sent. And then that you can go ahead and send in to Lindsay Marsh here at THM. Let's see. And as we learn more from TDHCA about what to do with these spreadsheets, or if you decide to collect the data through something like Alice and you can produce a report, what to do with those reports, I will let you know. But for now, our understanding is that we collect that data and just ensure that you're obtaining that data and reporting it out. So due to your grant requirements. Okay, I think, oh, here's some instructions on how to convert to PDF. So you can go ahead and use these instructions to either convert to PDF or copy and paste. Lindsay drew these instructions up, so this will help you if you need help with that. I'm going to go ahead and start this off and now let Lindsay take over with the screenshots. But as Melissa stated earlier, HUD now is requiring all programs to include their information, their program information in HMIS. And the reason we're doing this is just so we can make sure to, we can make sure that our data within the continuum of care programs is consistent. So up until this point, the data that we have been putting in HMIS, we've just been getting from the agents separately from our effort to obtain the inventory from all those shelters and supportive programs throughout the state. So that data didn't always match up. So for example, Panhandle Crisis Center, perhaps, and I know this is not right, Marcia, but I might have listed them as 10 units and 20 rooms or something like that. And whoever provided the information for HMIS might have listed it as 15 units, 30 rooms, whatever. So we need to make sure that that data matches up so our reporting to HUD is easier. And I think probably another one of the reasons that we're doing this is that HUD is probably going to want us to just produce HMIS reports with our housing inventory. And I just want to show you what that looks like real quick before Lindsay jumps up here. Okay, so this is what a housing inventory chart looks like. So this is what we send up to HUD every year. We've been doing this for some time. So if you got a call from one of us last year, it was probably to get this information. I'm sorry, it's not that information, it's this. So you'll see, and here's the domestic violence shelter. This is all we're going to ask you for. And we're just going to ask you for this information to put into HMIS so it matches all of the other documentation that we have here in the office. So we already have a lot of this information. We just want to match up with our records in HMIS. So it's just the organization name, program name, geocode, inventory type, and then your target populations. And really, beyond that, it's just your beds and your units. We just need those numbers. So I just wanted you to know what is reported to HUD from these numbers, and this is it. So I'm going to go ahead and let Lindsay take over here.
Hey there, this is Lindsay. Just real quick, we have a couple of screenshots here just to show you the information that we would be collecting on your facility. We would definitely have your name, and I just want to stress here that we are not going to be collecting your address. That won't be part of the HMIS. We will have the city and we will have the state, and this is some information that we already have. Again, the shelter name, number, and email address, these items we already have. So it's just going to be the direct line to the person in charge as well as the email address. And this is basically just what it's going to look like when we collect that. Then we're going to take kind of a picture, if you will, of your agency. We want to know how many rooms you have, and it's going to look like this. Maybe you have this many trees, maybe you don't. That's okay. So we're just going to take a snapshot of how many rooms you have, and we're going to enter that in just so we know, because we're not able to physically go to your agency to see the setup, and this just helps us envision what you have going on there. Then for each room, we'll put the number of beds. Maybe you have a family room, or it has a couple of beds, or a single room with one bed. And that's basically it. It's just to give us a snapshot of your agency and the setup there. So it's pretty straightforward. I think we are moving on to our next steps. I will be contacting you to get shelter information for the HMIS profile. I know it's a really hectic time for everyone right now, so this probably will not take place until after the first of the year. Again, my email address is listed here if you want to jot that down, and you can just send me your monthly reports. And of course, if you have any questions about how you need to convert that to a PDF or copy and paste into a new spreadsheet, so you're not sending us the client information, we just need the aggregate data there. Go ahead and jot that down, and don't hesitate to give me an email. And I think I will turn it over to Eric again.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up in a few minutes, but just to recap, there are two things. One is that reporting requirement and the availability of our simple spreadsheet that you can use as an alternative report if you wish. But whatever you do decide to do, if you're in the Texas Balance of State Continuum of Care, which most of you are, Ryan, you're not, and Allison, you're not, we will need to receive your reports here in the office. I should say we'll need to receive those if you have an emergency solutions grant. The second thing is the profile in HMIS. Basically just turn your inventory numbers into what's a visual representation of that. So this is something that I've often had to do whenever I call people. They're trying to explain to me how that their shelter or their housing program is laid out. I'll often just get a piece of paper out and start drawing it up and try to get them to help me understand it. So this is going to be even better. This is all that will be in here. No client information will be in there. I think that is it. I'm assuming we have some questions out there, so you can either type them in with the question box there, or you can go ahead and speak up, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. No questions?
Eric, I
Yes.
really don't have a question because we've already done this. We're just kind of rejoining as
Okay.
we do. So I think on our part, we're just tell us what to do and we're ready to do it.
Yeah, well, I think with you, this is Allison, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, you were, Fort Bend County is in the Houston-Harris County continuum of care. So I'm assuming Ryan will probably want to talk to you.
Okay.
And I think Ryan might have left already. It looks like he left. We also know, well, Daniel knows the HMIS manager there. I'm sure he could get you in touch with Errol. Errol's the manager there. We have a question here. Where do we get the spreadsheet? The spreadsheet is on our website. I'll go ahead and show you that. So this is available for you to oh yeah, it's available for you to download from here. So it is here, and you can download it from right here. There's also a link on the slides that you can just click on once I send those to you, and I will send those slides to everyone who is on this call, and actually I'll send it to everyone who I originally invited to this webinar. so everyone will have that, I think. Oh, here it is. So Lindsay has included the address that you can use there. Okay. Allison, Adam Salinas, he joined for Ryan. He's with, assuming with the HMIS program in Houston there, and he said he'll be getting in touch, or they'll be getting in touch with you about this, including this data.
Okay.
So, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for joining us. And yeah, go ahead.
Hey, it's Melissa again.
Hey, Melissa.
And I just wanted to, hey there, I just want to make sure I offer my assistance if anyone has any calls regarding this, or if you are hearing from any funder or collaborative that you're part of that's requesting that you use HMIS or any other database for client-level data that goes outside of your organization, please do call me or email me, and we could work with that funder or that collaborative effort that you're in, and kind of, you know, share this model with them, the way that you can provide aggregate data without compromising that client-level data. So do call or email. You can call us at 1-800-525-1978, or my email is mmason, that's for Melissa Mason, at tcfd.org.
And I think we have everyone's...
Melissa, could you repeat?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Allison.
I was going to ask you to repeat the phone number.
It's 1-800-525-1978.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm extension 3117.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Looks like we have one other question that was typed in here from Angela Ramirez. Are we to use their Social Security and real date of birth if they give those to you? On the spreadsheet, there is an option that can be where you could choose refused, or if they don't know what that is, what the information is. But you can include the real date of birth and their social on the sheet. That's the sheet you do not send to us, though. We do not want that sheet, that part of the spreadsheet. Let me just show you. This part of the spreadsheet, we do not want sent to us. We don't want it to leave your office. We only want this part. So yes, you can include all the information, and it will stay confidential. Any other questions? And if you don't have questions, you guys can go ahead and leave, and thank you for joining us. I'll just stay on a little bit longer if anyone does have questions.
Eric, I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is Allison. These spreadsheets are for each case manager. Did you want them all to be combined?
Well, they will need to be combined for each month. So if there's a way that you can share the document, that would be great. I know that that may not always be the case, especially with your organization, because I know you're larger than a lot of the ones I normally work with. So if that's the case, you would just combine the two sets of data from, if it were just two case managers. Yeah. Do you happen to use the Alice software?
No, we are looking
Okay.
at softwares to use.
Okay.
We just haven't picked one yet.
Yeah.
Now, another question, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
This is sheltered people only or housed people only?
Well, the way I would understand this, it would be those that are served through the Emergency Solutions Grant. I'm assuming you do have that grant, right?
I am not at liberty to tell you because I don't know.
Okay. I mean, most of the time, this would be people in a sheltered situation, a house situation, but it could include, I mean, our HMIS is used for those in shelter positions and not. So, yeah, you can include data from both groups.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure TDHCA, their guidance would say, wherever you provide assistance to through this grant, enter them into this spreadsheet or whatever database you choose to use. Yeah, Daniel pointed out that if you had an internal, if you had the document on an internal shared drive, you could just have the case managers pop it up and use it when they enter client level data, and that way it's all shared on one document. Okay, any other questions? And again, I don't want to hold anyone up, so if you are needing to go ahead, and thank you for joining us.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Just for those that are still on here, I'll just stay on a little bit longer in case you have questions. Okay, I'm going to assume no one has questions. So thank you for joining us, and I will be sending this information.